Welcome back to Invest Global. Today we're discussing the Launchpad ecosystem series that I will be discussing on this channel moving forward. Now, there are so many launchpads in the crypto ecosystem, and essentially what these allow you to do is get in early on ICOs, initial coin offerings, IDOs, initial exchange offerings, initial DEX offerings, whatever it is. Essentially, launchpads allow you to become an accredited investor in the crypto space. So in the legacy finance space, I always lay this out with any launchpad project that I'm discussing. In the legacy finance space, you see private investing versus public investing. So public investing, I always use the example of Elon Musk's companies. Anyone can invest in Tesla, right? So you can invest in this electric vehicle company with a high upside for long-term potential, but you cannot invest if you're not an accredited investor in private companies, in something like Neuralink, something like SpaceX, right? These are companies, or the Boring Company, where you are not able to access. And these are the true opportunities. Now, when everyone has access to something, this lays out kind of a problematic situation, right? So you're getting in when everyone else has the opportunity to get in. So is this really the right time? But if you can get in early on these companies that are doing incredible things, or these projects in the crypto space that are doing incredible things, now you have a competitive edge. Now, not all of them are made equal. That's why I'm doing this whole series on the whole landscape of Launchpad ecosystems. Now, we're talking about everything from Avalanche to things on Polygon, to things on Cardano, things on Neo, things on, Ethereum, Solana, Binance Smart Chain, all of these different ecosystems. There's many different Launchpad projects. You can see in the thumbnail kind of these lists of all the different Launchpads and all these different ecosystems. And I'll be breaking down, okay, what's the best, what's the worst, what should you focus on, what should you not focus on. And that's basically what this series is all about. So I just wanted to make this video to introduce this series. I will be making an actual playlist on my YouTube channel for this. The other series that I've done on this channel that a lot of people love is Global TA. So that's Global Technical Analysis. Basically, so many people charge hundreds, at least thousands of dollars for these like paid courses where it's like, oh, pay me $1,000 and you'll learn trading from me. I have this secret technique. No. Let's get rid of that. So my idea was, okay, let's make Global TA. Let's break down trading. Let's break down trading not only in crypto, not only in stocks, not only in commodities, but also Forex, all these things together. If you understand technical analysis, you can do these things. You can trade in capital markets. And it's the same thing with this Launchpad series. I think a lot of people will try and take advantage of this moving forward. A lot of people are going to put YouTube ads out there, Facebook ads, and say, pay me for this, or join my private, whatever it is, like masterclass, or join my webinar, and I'll pitch you basically on joining my course for this. But I want to put these things out there for free. That's the whole thing with Global TA. I do not make my money off YouTube. I make my money with many different things. Like I run e-commerce businesses, I do some commodity investing, I do crypto investing, I do real estate investing. All of these different things that I do not rely on YouTube. Now, I like to put out this information for free because it's what I enjoy, right? And I want people to understand these things, whether you're from France or whether you're from Nigeria, right? It doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter any of these things, your religion, none of these things matter. That's the beautiful thing about blockchain, and that's the beautiful thing about Launchpads is evening the playing field of, okay, who can access these private markets? Now, in my opinion, the accreditation process in the United States is ridiculous. In a lot of mainstream markets, like you could say Australia, you could say UK, you could say Canada, you could say United States, you'd say France, Germany, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. The accreditation process of investing in private equities is ridiculous. Literally in the United States, you look at it and it's, okay, so you have $1 million in net worth. Let's say you get that from a trust fund. You're an 18-year-old kid. Your parents are billionaires. You get a trust fund. You can invest in private markets. Now, is that person better at investing or more knowledgeable about investing versus someone who's 60 years old, who's about to retire in the finance industry or whatever it is? They've studied their whole life on this certain industry, or maybe they're in investment banking and they don't necessarily have this net worth to become an accredited investor. Well, who's the better person? It's not based on the knowledge. It's based on the number. Now, the number is just like an arbitrary way of basing things. I like to look at this just objectively and go, okay, who is a better investor? The kid who's 18, who's partying, doing coke, whatever it is, every single night, and he has a trust fund and he's going out and now he's investing in SpaceX, or someone who understands this space, right? So in my opinion, the accreditation process, and I hope what more of these launchpads move to, is more of like a knowledge-based ecosystem, right? So if you qualify, let's say they have a test, right? Just like you have the SAT and the traditional education system, or like the whatever it is. I don't know these tests. I'm not a big fan of the traditional education system, to be honest. But basically having this more of knowledge base versus just like, okay, what is your net worth? Because again, your net worth can't be something that you actually work for, right? So some people, yes, like I've invested in private companies, but the main idea here is not just for me, right? It's for everyone watching this, everyone out there in the world who's interested in investing in global equities. And the beautiful thing about blockchain is it allows you to do these things. It allows you to have access to, like I'm here in beautiful Batumi, Georgia, and it allows you to, let's say, have like tokenized versions of real estate properties. Like all these towers back here are beautiful buildings that are being built, and you can rent these out, right? So you can like have tokenized versions of these on the blockchain versus the traditional finance ecosystem that just says, okay, like let's say you qualify to purchase one of these apartments in this building, well, then only you can get into it, versus like someone who grew up in Kenya, like let's say Nairobi, Kenya, and let's say they just have $100 to invest, they can invest in a tokenized version of one of these apartments. And that's the beautiful thing about blockchain. They can also invest in a tokenized version of any of the projects that are launched on any of these launch pads. So we're going through all these different ecosystems. I just wanted to do a quick run through of like kind of the top ones in each of these ecosystems in this first video. Like I said, on my YouTube channel, Invest Global, which you should like the video if you enjoy it, share it with a friend, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'm always open to iterate and improve on any videos that I do. And I love to do these series just for free on YouTube, so everyone has kind of the equality of information, right? So I think the democratization of information is one of the most important things in the world currently. Like we need to continue this trend because it's one of the only times throughout history where we've been able to do this. And that's why I think we should take advantage of it, right? Like this idea of spreading out information, not having it being behind like gate kept, right? So a lot of the ideas behind going $50,000 in debt in U.S. education system is like, okay, this information is basically being held behind a curtain. It's being protected, and this information should be available to everyone, right? So the more innovation in the world, the better, in my opinion. I think the best ideas should win out in the end. And I think the people that are able to use these ideas and actually use them in the best way, that will help for the growth of the world, the growth for especially emerging markets and frontier markets that I personally invest in, which I see, the emerging markets and frontier markets in the crypto space in Launchpads. Now, 2017, obviously, there was ICOs, so initial coin offerings. Now it is much more IDOs, right? So initial DEX offerings or initial exchange offerings, or IFOs, initial farm offerings, versus initial coin offerings. The initial coin offering structure was very primitive, in my opinion. Now we're moving towards a system where it's a bit more open source. Obviously, with all of these projects that I talk about, I always recommend watching the video linked down below in the description, how to do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. I recommend you understand how to do your own research, DYOR. I have that video linked down below in the description, basically talking about fundamental, sentimental, technical, and on-chain analysis for all these projects, understanding tokenomics, understanding the roadmap, understanding the white paper, the team, basically verifying this information and not having to trust these people. So like, let's say you have to, and you're considering investing in, like, let's go back to the example of Tesla, right? So part of the analysis with stocks in the traditional finance space is analyzing the CEO, so Elon Musk, this company, right? Or analyzing whoever it is, the CI or the chief executive officer, the chief intelligence officer, the chief security officer, the chief marketing officer, the CMO, the CIO, all these different positions. But what the beautiful thing about blockchain is you don't have to necessarily trust this person. You can verify it through code. You can audit it yourself if you understand how to do audits, or you can outsource this to another company that does auditing, and they can do this for you. Then you can make your decision based on data, based on information, not based on trust. You can verify these things versus just trusting them. So after all these things said, I apologize if I was a bit ranty in this video, but basically, like I said, this whole series is going to be on all these different ecosystems. I'm probably going to do a couple of these a week, so focusing on different Launchpad projects in each of these different ecosystems. For Avalanche's ecosystem, which I love, I've talked about the Pangolin Exchange, which is their version of Uniswap in the past, and what Avalanche is doing. So there's a big difference between Avalanche and Avalanche, right? So Avalanche is the ecosystem, just like Ethereum. So basically, any project built on top of the Avalanche or the Ethereum or the Binance Smart Chain or the Cardano or the Polkadot ecosystem, doesn't matter. Those are the fundamental blockchain systems. And then anything built on top of that is basically helping out the overall ecosystem. So Avalanche is the Launchpad for Avalanche. I know those sound very, very similar, but I will be doing a deep dive into Avalanche. Then you look at Polystarter. So this is the layer 2. So with the Polygon ecosystem, Matic, formerly known MATIC, absolutely incredible things in the Ethereum ecosystem. You can do great yield farming things. When I was in Tbilisi, Georgia, I met this awesome guy from Germany who's doing incredible things with on Polygon with yield farming, basically earning 20% APY, which so many traditional investors would absolutely love. He's a young kid doing this, and I love what he's doing. So you have Polystarter on Polygon. This is one of the launch pads on there. Next, Cardano, obviously Charles Hoskinson. Highly recommend you subscribe to Charles Hoskinson on YouTube. He had an incredible interview with Lex Friedman, one of my favorite podcasts, the formerly known as the Artificial Intelligence Podcast, now known as the Lex Friedman Podcast. Great conversation on crypto, on kind of philosophy, on economics, all these different things. Just beautiful, beautiful mind, I think, both in Lex Friedman and both in Charles Hoskinson. Card Charter is just one of the launch pads on the Cardano ecosystem, which obviously has not fully released yet. So definitely check that out. Again, all these different launch pads that you see in the thumbnail, I will do a deep dive video on all of these, talking about tokenomics, talking about minimum requirements, talking about the white paper, the roadmap, the team, everything you need to know, the use cases, and also upcoming projects coming to that ecosystem. So yeah. Also, Nearpad. This is on the Near ecosystem, if I remember correctly. Let me check real quick. Yeah, Near ecosystem. So this is one that I will be quite honest, I'm not as familiar with, right? So I understand the opportunities on something like Falcon Swap, which is on Ethereum, Solana, Binance Smart Chain, because I've interacted with them. But Near is something that we'll be learning together with this. So Near has multiple different launch pads. You can see that they're focused on DeFi and the Near ecosystem. Then Falcon Swap, this is on Ethereum. So you also have things like Trust Swap on Ethereum, which is much more popular. Falcon Swap is kind of this mixture between a decentralized exchange, so a DEX, and a Launchpad project. So love what they're doing there. Again, layer 2 protocol on Ethereum. So they're kind of using a bit different things than Polygon. So again, this is a much more complicated conversation. That's why I'm making this playlist. And this video is more to introduce this series versus going in depth on all these protocols. So basically what I want to do is introduce all of the blockchain projects I'll be talking about. Also, one that you do not see in the thumbnail is the Polkadot ecosystem. So Polkastarter, one of my favorite launch pads, one of the first that I actually got into personally. Polkastarter has incredible projects. I think long-term what Polkastarter is doing is incredible because I believe in Polkadot long-term. Now, next is Solana. Now, Solana, you compare transactions per second, one of the fastest blockchains out there because of the things they do. You compare Ethereum with 30 TPS, so 30 transactions per second, versus Solana, 50,000 TPS. Yes, so 30 compared to 50,000 TPS, so transactions per second. Absolutely incredible things. SolPad is one of them that I've been talking about. They also have like Sol Launch and all these different launch pads. So we'll be talking about this in deep dive, and then Binance Smart Chain Pad. So overall, very interesting things, right? So this is going to be a long series. I'm going to do deep dive into each of these different ecosystems, how to get in early on all of these Launchpad projects. Again, understanding ICOs, initial coin offerings versus IDOs, is very, very important. So that's basically all for this video. If you enjoy this series, if you're looking forward to it, like the video overall, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to stay up to date. Join us in the Telegram group. So if you have a discussion, if you have kind of a conversation that you would want to hash out, we can discuss that in Telegram. YouTube comments, yes, leave me a comment down below. But the thing is typically those conversations don't develop so fast because I don't see all those notifications personally. I'm always looking at real estate opportunities. I'm always looking at different emerging market investments. And as far as this channel goes, it's what I enjoy in the free time. This is all free content that I put out. No hype. I really focus on like quality versus quantity, right? So yes, I put out a lot of videos a day. I try and at least put out 3 videos a day. I do daily DeFi. I typically do a video on crypto, and then I typically do a video on like commodities, macro economy, offshore bank accounts, whatever it is, second passports, real estate, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, so that's all for this video. Again, this is the Launchpad Ecosystems series. If you enjoy it, share it with a friend, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, stay up to date, notification bell, all. As always, invest global, and until next time.